event management students, and welcome to the EVT 302 video series. Today we have a very, very special guest with us today in the studio. I'm very excited to welcome my friend and colleague, Randy Phipps of RP Communications. Now, there is nothing that I could say that will do complete justice to this individual and all that he has accomplished in both the social media and public relations arenas. So, Randy, would you mind giving yourself an introduction to our students?
Sure. Well, I'm so happy to be here. Hello, everyone. As Erica said, my name is Randy Phipps, founder and principal at RP Communications. I run a public relations firm, but a little unknown fact about me is that I am a certified event and wedding planner. I got a certification a few years ago, and I find that I use that with my business today currently. And RP Communications specializes in public relations and social media content creation, and then the event management component side, and my background always comes into the PR and social media side.
And that is amazing. So you bring a really unique perspective to our students because you have the understanding and the education as an event management specialist, a certified event management specialist, but you're also extremely proficient in content creation and managing social media for large-scale companies as well as public figures. So that puts you in a really unique position. One thing I really wanted to dive in with you right away is on content. Now, a lot of the content that Randy creates is for everybody from companies and small medium enterprises to public figures as well, for many of your publicity clients too. So when you're working with such a range of clients and you could be doing pretty much any kind of content, how do you stay inspired for the different kinds of content that you create?
I know it sounds a little generic, but my clients always inspire me, and when I see their growth and their success, I'm fueled by that. And then also just being with them in a creative space when you can kind of bounce ideas off each other or see like some of their past projects and how you can make it better. You're always learning and growing from that. Also, pop culture plays a huge part of inspiration because you see what's happening. You always want to be current, you want to be relevant. So you take a little bit of that, mesh it with your client, and then you smack it together, and hello, inspiration.
So how do you know what types of content are right for what types of clients or events? For example, you could do a boomerang, or you could do a video, or you could do a long format YouTube video. How do you know when it's right?
I would say that kind of goes with the brand or the personality that you're dealing with. Let's say, for instance, you're dealing with someone that's very corporate or corporate client. I find that things are very regimented, and you have to be super careful with the language you use, the photos you use, because the hierarchy in a corporation is and you have to make sure that you're always on point. If you are doing content creation for an artist perhaps, or a public figure, a lot of it's their personality. So if they're kind of like, harder, rougher, no filter, you can get away with, dropping some F-bombs, or you can have something that's a little more controversial, whereas a corporate client, you have to tighten it up a lot.
Do you ever feel pressure when new apps and new services come out to constantly be testing and trying out new things? And if so, do you ever feel worried that maybe you might go down a certain path and realize that that platform might not have the longevity? I know a lot of us kind of got into trouble when Vine came out because we all jumped on the Vine bandwagon. We were all making 6-second videos. Some of us were even questioning whether Vine was really right for our clients, but it was the new hot thing. So we had to do it.
Yeah.
And then what happened? All of a sudden, Vine just sort of went up in smoke.
It disappears.
And all of that work, what are we supposed to do with it now? Put in YouTube compilations? So how do you deal with the constant onslaught of new types of content creation?
I would say it's just a matter of monitoring trends, seeing how often, and the major trendsetters, like, the Kardashians, for instance, they're like a huge part of social media today, and a lot of major celebrities. So we're such a celebrity-based culture. If the celebrities are using that particular app, then it's going to take off, pick up, and it's going to have a lot of steam. But I try not to get too caught up in fad apps because they come and they go, and then I find that it diverts from using the main apps, which I like to say are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram primarily. That's where the bulk of the consumers and the public is on. So I try not to get too caught up in like fad apps, but if there is something that I see that's a trend or many celebrities are using, I will explore that option and see if it's a fit for my client. Snapchat, for instance, is not something that would be good for like a corporation, but if you're like a personality, that's something that would be better for that type of a brand.
That's a really good point. I get a little concerned with Snapchat because it skews very, very young. But we see such robust brands. Everyone from Cosmopolitan to even The Economist is on Snapchat. And so we always seem to be finding ways of being able to kind of reinvent the brand on these different platforms, but maintain that brand identity. Does that ever become cumbersome for you, or does that not even play into it for you?
I wouldn't say it's cumbersome. Sometimes it's in your head, but I try not to get too caught up in it per se, because like I said, it will distract you from the focus of where you should be at the moment. Because I feel like if it's a place that you need to be, you will be there, and the buzz around it will get you there versus, just investigating. We could be on apps 15 hours a day just trying things and going through things like, this doesn't work, this could work, but we can't like start the trend with an app. We have to like join the movement.
Yes.
So who doesn't want to be part of a movement, right?
Of course, of course. So Randy, you've spoken a little bit on being timely and relevant. What does that mean for you in the content creation space, and what do you see the effects of for your social media for your clients?
In regards to being timely, it's a matter of keeping up with the trends, seeing what is happening out there in the pop culture world. Also just what's happening with your family and friends, seeing what apps that they're using, because those are the people that we're all connected to. So I think being relevant, you can tie it into the celebrity culture, because the celebrity culture influences our culture. So if the celebrities are on a certain app or using X, Y, and Z, it might be a good idea to go there, because the platform's only going to grow with more support from very high profile people.
I see. And so any special tips you'd like to give to some of the students today? Any apps that you really love, or any tools that you're using right now that you just are dying to share?
I would say I definitely have like a handful of favorites that are like my go-to for photo editing, because I think to put photos on social media, you should keep it very high quality. I think, we live in such a digital space and we have access to so many different kinds of apps. Why are you going to put a picture up that's like dark, or it's not sharpened, or it's not vibrant? Punch it up, make your photos and your content stand out. I love a color story. It makes everything bright, poppy, and vibrant.
Now that's an app you can find in the app store, right?
Totally.
A color
story.
Great.
And then one of my other favorites is ViscoCam, because it just has such a wide variety of presets that can get whatever type of look or feel that you're going for. I have a fashion brand that I work with, and it's a very dark, kind of moody. They have moody presets. I have a lifestyle expert who's very bright, cheerful, sunny. So you want to go with something that's bright and vibrant. So it's just a matter of aligning the brand with the right tools to support the content that you're putting out.
Now, you and I have been in social media and public relations and communications for quite some time.
Yeah.
So we've had an opportunity to really sort of build up our toolkit with all the different phones and gadgets and so on and so forth. But many of my students are only just getting into this, and there will be event professionals who may be mandated to also include social media posting as part of their job description. Do you really think that they need all of the gizmos and gadgets in order to create great content, or is it about something else?
I absolutely think to make you stand out from the crowd, because the social media sphere is very competitive, and then the amount of people that are on there, you want to make sure that your content stands out. So gizmos, gadgets, or just tools of the trade, I would say would definitely be things like good lighting, remote, so you can like do things if you want to take a picture of yourself instead of doing a selfie. Like I personally am not a selfie person. I prefer someone to take a photo so it looks more polished. This arm sticking out, weird angles, weird face shapes, not really my thing. I prefer to mount the camera somehow and then have a little remote control that you kind of, put behind you, and then you click it so it looks like it's an organic shot taken by someone. And a lot of those things you can find on Amazon, where it's like a Bluetooth remote shutter, or also things like a beautiful ring light that makes everything look perfect and everyone look great.
Because we look perfect right now.
Right.
Right.
Like we wouldn't be doing this without a ring light. So ring lights are awesome. And then also just anything that you can use just to take your content to the next level is super, super helpful, and it'll make you stand out and make the students stand out, because how many people are in the class, right?
Right. And even when you're just starting out, a really great iPhone, a good glass cleaner for the lens of your iPhone, and a bright spot directly in front of sunlight can do so much for taking away the shadows and shading on the face, bringing out colors and creating those photos that really sort of stand out. Do you ever find it to be difficult to cut through all of the noise on social media? It just feels like my Instagram feed is just this never-ending beast of content. Do you ever feel like it's difficult, or do you find that there are strategies out there to sort of cut through that noise?
I certainly find it extremely difficult to be on it because it's almost like an addiction. We use it for work, we use it for personal reasons, and like you could literally sit there and be scrolling through your Twitter feed or your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed for hours upon hours. So I think it's really important to take a break and detach yourself from it a few times a day, like putting the phone down for like an hour and just get connected to the real world, because many times social media gives us access to the world that's out there, and then we don't want to live in that world. We want to stay in our bubble and just watch everything and then post things in a very curated manner. So it does kind of play with your head. As much as, you know, I'm a big advocate for like living your life and being out there, it kind of sounds contradictory when I'm like, well, you know, make sure everything looks perfect, because I'm part of the demographic that wants everything to look polished and good. But I think there's a balance if you can separate from it for a while.
Now, when you talk about polished and good, I do kind of hesitate about that a little bit, because sometimes things can look too polished, and you don't want this to look like a photography portfolio on social media, or like a video should have been a commercial and it sort of ended up on YouTube to see if they could have generated views there. You know what I mean, right?
100%.
And so when it's so polished, it can kind of be a turnoff in a native space like social media. So do you advocate for finding a balance between more intimate, personal posts that might be a little bit more guerrilla style and unpolished? Or do you really think go as polished as you can and see how your audience reacts? What do you think is best?
You made a really good point, because you can also lose engagement if everything is too polished and too perfect looking.
Right.
Unless
Yeah.
it's like a travel blog and you're in Santorini, you know, people want to see things like that look perfect because it's an iconic spot. But your day-to-day selfie shouldn't be super, super polished, because then you could lose engagement. People will detach from and be like, this is just one fake feed. What am I doing here looking at stuff that, you know? So I don't know if I've coined this term, but I like to think I've coined this term to have high quality organic content.
Okay.
So to me, high quality organic content is something that looks like it could be done just with your phone and it's an organic photo, but it's still a step up from a regular photo that you see that's not lit properly, or it's, you know, off focus or not centered. So high quality organic is my personal goal for everyone.
Because I think for event professionals, whether they're promoting an event, or they're promoting their event company, or just trying to build their own personal brand, there needs to be sort of that nice balance between taking selfies with the team, or hey, this is the team around the table, we're putting together the final touches for logistics, and also those really nice photos that help to illustrate what guests to the event can expect when they get there. And just on that point, how do you choose video or photography or micro video content to go with your posts? So what are you looking for in the actual photo? Are you looking for it to convey emotion from the post, or are you looking for it to convey the point of the post, right? What is it that you're looking for?
Because I'm a PR practitioner, to me everything is about a story.
Okay.
So I want the photo to convey a story. I want the person there, their expression, what they're wearing, the background, all to kind of connect to the message, because in PR everything is about branding and about messaging. So for me, everything kind of has to connect to a story, so when the viewer looks at it, they can just understand what it's about with very little wording, because the picture says it all.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.